Hey guys, what's up? It is Steezy Adventures again. Today we're on the Harley and we're going out to Wilson's Creek National Battlefield. So we were supposed to go out there with the Army a few weeks ago. However, we kind of got canceled because of some snow. And so I'm going to go out there today, taking the Harley. It's going to be a good ride. Should be about 100 miles there, 100 miles back. Let's do it. We are in downtown Lebanon, Missouri. We are about halfway to where I'm stopping for lunch. Yeah, it's been a good little ride. Next turn is in 27 miles. Let's go. I saw that bike on the side of the road and I stopped here on the side of the road to see if anybody needed any help. Ain't nobody up there with it. Just got a flat tire though, so somebody must have came and got the guy. Cool, I'm gonna get on down the road. We are in Buffalo, Missouri at Taco Bell. Stopped and had some lunch. We're going to get on down the road. We still got an hour and 4 minutes till we get to Wilson's Creek. So that's the goal. Stay tuned. We are in Wilson's Creek National Scenic Battlefield, and we are going to drive the loop, do the little motor tour. So yeah, it's going to be fun. We haven't reached the first stop yet. Here's the first open field. I don't know if there's going to be stops. There should be at least a couple stops, I'd imagine. Oh yeah, there's some pull-offs. Oh, here's the first crossing of the creek. The actual Wilson's Creek, which you can imagine would be pretty hard to cross, especially with any form of cannons. Here's the hiking marker for Gibson's Mill. I don't think I'm gonna hike to Gibson's Mill. Okay, so anyway, we are here. This is the part of the river that we crossed, or the creek that we crossed. Union's moved this way, north is south, which makes no sense here. We are about to go past Ray's cornfield. Gibson's mill site is out here, that way. I'm not gonna hike out there because I'm wearing Kevlar layered pants. But I want to see the Ray house, I want to see the cornfield, and I want to see Bloody Hill. So let's go. This is the old cornfield. So in 1861, that was the cornfield owned by the Ray family. Of course, there's no corn there right now because it's May or June, sorry. But I think they have corn there in the fall. Okay, friends, we're walking up here to the Ray house. This one ain't too far of a walk. I can walk this one. See, I got the Kevlar jeans on. Not exactly the best for hiking, you know. We can go, you know, an eighth of a mile up here to see the Ray house. So the Rays were not soldiers. The Rays were a family who provided care for the Confederate and also the Union soldiers wounded during the battle, to include Major General Lyon, who was the commander of the Union forces at the Battle of Wilson Creek, and who died at the Battle of Wilson's Creek. So the Rays, even though they were really supporting the South, whether they wanted to or not, were still kind enough to provide a proper rest for a major general of the Union Army. So yeah, we're walking up here to the Ray house. I'm out of breath, so I'm wearing boots and Kevlar jeans. So if you read the little plaques, which you can't because I'm walking, the Rays didn't know there was going to be fighting. The Confederates were camped in kind of near their house, and the kids were out herding some animals, and the kids, or the Confederate forces, kind of came up on them and was like, hey, you guys gotta go, we're about to be doing some fighting. And so the kids and the wife and I think their slaves went down into the cellar, while the dad, Mr. John Ray, something like that, sat on the front porch right here and watched the battle that unfolded across the road, across the valley in the cornfield. So he was like, see the fence line over there? House, that close to the battle, which is pretty cool. Pretty cool. And this is not a reconstruction of the house. I'm pretty sure this is just the same way the house has always been, and where it's always sat too, which is pretty neat. Yeah. Unfortunately, it looks like the house is not open right now, which sucks, but hey, it is what it is. Oh, let's get on to the next spot. All right, we are leaving Ray House. The Ray House, home of the Ray family, which basically served as a field hospital in the Battle of Wilson's Creek. And we are heading on down the road along with the tour. See where we get to next. All right, friends, we've made our second stop. This is Price's headquarters, which was Price was a commander of an artillery something or other. Hold on, I'll find out for you. Major General Sterling Price, yes, headquarters, which was the general in charge of the Confederates. My bad. So he was camped out here, and then, well, about actually a quarter of a mile that way, which I don't know if it's actually still over there. So he was camped out about a quarter mile that way. You see we are currently here, headquarters is there, and then there's a battery there, which I bet they have cannons. You know what, we'll walk out there. Okay, we are down here in the bottom. Somewhere out that way is the Ray cornfield. Every step I take, I'm regretting more and more hiking down here, because I got to the bottom of the hill and it was like another sign. It said Ray's cornfield. So I don't actually know, or not Ray's cornfield, Price's headquarters. So I don't actually know where Major General Price's headquarters is. Apparently it's that way. How far that way, I don't know, because it said a quarter mile at the top of the hill and a quarter mile at the bottom of the hill, so it might be 4 miles that way for all I know. All I know is we're walking and it's hot. 80 degrees in Missouri, Kevlar jeans, it's toasty. All right, so I've made it to the cabin of William Edwards, which is in a field where Major General Price and General McCulloch set up their camp. So this is the cabin. The headquarters would have been in this area, and then up and down the creek behind us, Wilson's Creek behind us, would have been where the Union, like, actual army was camped out. This road here would have been wire road back in the day, which would have had either, I think, a telegraph wire running along it. And then over that way, so again, house, headquarters, that way is Bloody Hill, and that's where the Union actually set up for their attack and fired on the Confederates. Now, if you read the plaque says that the two generals knew immediately when the firing had started and the fighting had started, but that's not quite true. Because if you get down into this bottom here, there's like a acoustic shadow from the little hump that's over that way, and that kind of actually left the generals unaware that the fighting had started for a few hours, until somebody had came to tell them, like, hey, we're fighting, the Union are here. And I know that from personal studies. But yeah, this is the site where all of it went down. All right, after a little hike, we are back to the bike. We're gonna get on the bike. We're gonna get that way. Find the next stop. Should be fun. All right, we are currently overlooking Sharp's cornfield, which is out that way. We just rode through it all, but I didn't really get that on camera. This whole field used to be corn, and it was, Sharp's cornfield, yeah. So it's here, which is to the south, because again, north is down. Sharp's cornfield's here, and then we just came from the Ray house here. We walked up to down to here to Price's headquarters, came back up and rode around to here. Sharp cornfield there. This is where the Union flank was supposed to come in from this side, with Colonel Siegel's column from the west, and kind of flank them. It didn't go so well. The back-off's battery was placed up here, was firing across the cornfield, so the cannon's literally right there. Would have been firing back this way onto Reed's battery and Bledsoe's battery. Didn't go so well because Colonel Siegel ended up retreating back out west along the wire road, and then eventually looping back around to the north towards back up towards Rolla. So yeah, anyway, we're gonna get on down the road. All right, so we are at Bloody Hill on Wilson's Creek National Battlefield. Bloody Hill is where General Lyon and his artillery set up for their initial offensive from the north, the main attack. Of course, they were supported from the west by Colonel Sigel, but Bloody Hill is where General Lyon set up his attack, and ultimately where he died too. And you can see there's several old artillery pieces up this way, which is pretty neat. So we're here with Totten's battery. Would have been right here, Captain Totten, or Major Totten, Captain Totten, yep. Firing on the Confederate positions down here, which would have been over that way where the cornfield would have been. The tree line wouldn't have been there back in the day. So yeah, we're gonna head on around this way. So I think this will be the last stop I do on the trail, because there's only like one more. But this is Bloody Hill again. So this is where the Union planned to do their main offensive and hit the Confederates while they were asleep, and then ultimately drive them down into the other Union line with Colonel Sigel. But because they were outnumbered, it didn't work very well. And General Lyon ultimately ended up dying. He's the first Union general to be killed in combat, and also this is also only the second major battle of the Civil War. So it was pretty important. Ultimately a Southern victory, but didn't really matter too much, because at least in terms of, it was more of a numbers victory than a strategic victory, because the Battle of Pea Ridge, which happened not too long later, was much more decisive and mattered a lot more. However, this was a Southern victory, and a pretty major battle for the Civil War. So I'm going to go down here, get on the bike, and we're going to go stop out at the visitor center and get suited up for the road, because I'm not riding like this out on the highway. Stay tuned. Hey guys, made it back to the visitor center. I'm going to go ahead and sign off. About to make the 2.5 hour ride back to the house, and I'm sure you'll see some of that in the outro. But I'm going to go ahead and sign off. This was Wilson's Creek National Historic Battlefield, or National Battlefield, in Republic, Missouri, which is like right outside of Springfield. If you guys like this kind of stuff, the Civil War history, come check it out. It's a really cool battlefield. It doesn't get enough attention. They're open. I mean, their hours are on the internet. You can check it yourself. But hey, it was pretty cool. The trail is bikeable, hikeable, horsebackable, drivable, and there's some decent amount of hiking and biking trails as well. Yeah, it's worth it to come out here and see. So anyway, if you like this kind of content where I'm doing a little bit of biking and a little bit of hiking, you know, give me a like and subscribe. Check out some other videos. See you next time.